punk rock. I don't, you know, I just think of it as rock and roll because that's what it is.
Neighbors.
No one loves you like he loves you.
You want Billsburn with that?
Sunday, we'll be back in the lab.
Your answer is non-sequitur.
Stan with the Punk Rock Chronicles here for another edition. I've got our good buddy Bob the Bastard.
Cheers.
And we've got actually a couple friends of ours, Jeff Feurhaken, who actually I've known for quite a while. He is actually the person that helped me launch the Punk Rock Chronicles when it first started. We did a documentary together, the Ill Repute documentary, and I mean, we got stories we'll go over about that. And then Conor, who jams in his new band that's called Fine Gents. Yeah. So we're going to get into it with these guys today, but first of all, thanks for coming out, guys.
Hey man, it's good to see you. It's been a minute. I feel like it's everything's kind of come full circle. You know, when we first started this podcast, you know, we had no idea like what we were going to be doing and anything, and you know, with everything happened with COVID, and I had kids and had like no time to do anything, and I'm just seeing what you guys have been able to do, like taking over the reins and moving this thing on just stokes me out. Like it's really cool to listen to all the new episodes and everything.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. So just to get a little recap, Jeff and I started the podcast about 4 years ago, or about 3 years ago. Yeah, and we actually had about 5 episodes in. We were doing them in your studio in Huntington Beach.
Yeah,
and I actually had some fucking really cool guests lined up.
Yeah?
I mean, we're ready to go, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And just shut everything down.
If you guys watch those first episodes, you can go back and check them out. They're still on YouTube. They should be on like the Punk Rock Chronicles playlist if you guys subscribe on YouTube.
I've seen them all. Yeah, they're great.
They're streaming too. They're on our podcast channel, so you can, they actually get a lot of views and listens too.
All right, this is Stan Mueller.
And this is Jeff Feurhaken.
It looks like we've got something special coming down the pipeline.
It might or might not be a podcast.
So, look out, here we come.
It might be a podcast, actually. It's a podcast.
I think so.
So Jeff and I actually go back. We did the Ill Repute documentary, and that's just a crazy story in itself. But you know, I had this idea of doing a documentary, no idea how to do it, and fortunately bumped into him fucking randomly. I don't even know how.
I didn't really know how to do it either. We just kind of like learned as we went.
Yeah, we learned as we went, and to be honest, it came out killer, dude.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember that whole experience of going up to Ventura and Oxnard and just like filming with all those guys.
Yeah,
I was just tripping out, you know, like because I've always loved the Ill Repute. I remember seeing them like way back in the day, back in like Santa Barbara and Oxnard and everything when I was living in Santa Barbara. And man, I'm just sitting here being like, oh my god, I'm like interviewing like Tony Cortez. This is so rad, you know. It's like John Fenna, and I remember like meeting Carl and Jim and like just doing all the interviews. And then like I remember, do you remember when we went up to go do interviews? Like everybody in the Oxnard scene started coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Once we started doing the interviews, and then we just start getting everybody lined up. We're talking to all these people from all these bands.
Dude,
it was really cool.
It was cool too because we actually scheduled, because of what I do, project management, right? So I had people scheduled from like 7 a.m. until like fucking midnight, dude.
This guy's very organized. Yeah, I gotta give you props for that. And you know, none of that would have happened without that skill.
Yeah, that's all I could really bring, you know, the skill of fucking scheduling.
Yeah. That's a good skill to have, apparently.
Yeah. So that was fun, man. We filmed most of that in that weekend, that first weekend, right? I think. Yeah. And then we did some offshoots.
One weekend.
But and then the whole editing.
We'd go back. I remember we filmed like Big Bob on a separate day.
Yeah.
We got
banners falling.
You started talking about the original shit.
I know.
And look at this. It all comes falling down.
Punk rock, guys.
That is punk rock. That's fine.
Let's have a draped over your head.
Yeah, I know. Just run with it.
Just talk.
Yeah. So anyway,
So we filmed the documentary, and then we had a year to edit it for the premiere. Yeah, well, not even a year, but remember Jeff Hershey's like, hey, Jeff Hershey was putting on Nardfest, The first Nardfest.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh,
and the whole thing was to premiere this documentary at this Nardfest. Yeah. So we had a timeline, which actually gave us some, a reason to do this. And Jeff, man, he fucking you pulled it off, dude. I mean, long hours, man. It was brutal.
That thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was such good content, and I believed in kind of your vision for it, and I knew that, repute deserves to have their story told. It's a great story.
Yeah.
And if we're the people to do it, then so be it. And I wanted to make sure that I did justice to everything that they've done.
Yeah.
So I wanted.
So can I interject for a second? Ask a few questions. No. Okay. So moving on. What I want to know is, you guys didn't know what you were doing, so that means.
Really.
That means he had to figure out how to schedule everything correctly and get the artist involved and lock them down, which is probably difficult. You had to bring all the equipment and have the right equipment and in one shot.
Yeah.
You couldn't screw up and go back home and come back right?
No, and I'd done stuff like, corporate videos and things like that, but it was never anything like on a big scale. It's just kind of like I had like, talking head interviews and things like that. So I kind of figured I would kind of know what to do, but I remember the first day we got in there and we started filming with John Fanoff, and he's like a really accomplished like video producer and editor in his own right, and he's like, oh, you put the cameras like, you put them there, and I'm like, why? We should put in there. He's like, well, you should put this camera over here on this side. You want, don't put. I'm like, okay, dude, just you tell me, man. And so we had a little bit of guidance, I guess, in that regard, but it's just those types of situations. It's just you just fucking jump in and you just do it, right? That's how you learn. And having a deadline and stuff to edit, kind of like lit a fire under my ass to make sure that I was editing everything to get done in time for this for the premiere. And I remember like doing exports of like the entire documentary and stuff would like crash like at the very last minute. And we had these old Macs that like took, oh my god.
This is just not. Hey, can we pause that?
Okay, so we filmed the documentary and we had a timeline to get this thing done, and maybe like 8 months to edit this thing, like really tight. And we're also writing a book. My wife's writing a book.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but the book, that wasn't even part of this yet. So we filmed the documentary. He's editing it. As we're editing it, we're doing a ton of media, interviews, newspaper. All this attention is getting drawn to this. So it's like now we have to do it. I mean, we're saying we're going to do this.
Yeah, it's gotten hyped up. Now we have to deliver.
Yeah, we have to deliver. And I just remember going because I lived right up the street.
Shit moment.
Well,
sort of.
Yeah, it was sketchy.
It was, we didn't really know what was going on with the edit, and it was, I kind of came into the editing process sort of like later, like it was originally like being edited, and then like I came in to do it, and yeah, by the time I was like really working on it, we had like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My god.
So I was cranking through that thing, like putting in long hours every night, but it was fun. I loved hearing all the stories from all the old Nardcore guys, and just being able to be a part of that was something that was special for me. And so hearing these stories and editing together felt like a privilege. So it didn't even feel like work for me. It was just something that I felt like I enjoyed doing, and just had to get it done by a certain time.
Labor of love.
Well, so you're stoked on all the bands. And you're just like,
exactly.
I get to watch all this B-roll. And, and like get to ingest it all and then come out with something awesome.
Yeah,
and you get to make decisions on shit.
Yeah, and it was definitely sick getting like all the old footage that you were getting, because people were coming to you and like digitizing like VHS tapes and like old school shit.
Yeah.
So we got to see a bunch of like old photos and like live videos and like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, that was nuts, man. And so it all came out, and then we premiere it, right?
Yeah.
At the first Nardfest, and I mean, it was so hyped up. And there was this, I think it started like at 3:30, so the doors opened at 3. There was a line around the entire theater to get in.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And people were pissed they couldn't get in. They're like, fuck, we got in here early to see the documentary and they couldn't get in. We was stoked, but it was pretty packed when
I couldn't believe there was such that people were so like, there's so much anticipation to see the documentary. I thought that it was just going to be kind of like a little sideshow. Oh, they're showing this like little movie or whatever in between bands or before the band's playing.
Yeah.
And then, everybody was there to, like, make sure they caught the documentary beforehand. And, like, it played. There was, like, a standing ovation and stuff at the end.
People dug it,
It was
man.
definitely...
I mean, you put the story together really well, dude. It was actually really laid out, really nice, and easy to follow. And those guys are so in tune with each other. I mean, they're like, really repeating themselves.
Yeah.
Like one guy would say the same exact thing, and it's like, I remember you making comments.
That
like,
always helps because it's just like almost like one guy tees off the next guy to tell the next part of the story.
And it was never intended to be that way. We didn't know. It just happened.
So
that way.
we got lucky in that regard. We didn't have to like do like too much massaging of the story. It was like it was there like in the can. So it was very easy to kind of like put it together and make a coherent story out of it.
Yeah. So
from a fan's perspective, we were all waiting anxiously for this movie.
Fans' perspective for me too, bro. Like, trust me.
When I got the book, I got one of the early books, numbered books and CDs, and a poster and everything. And I got a couple from my friends because we're all Nardcore fans. And it was the first time anyone's ever done a deep dive like that in the Nardcore in that sense.
I hadn't seen anything about the Nardcore scene.
It was definitely under appreciated in a way, as far as Southern California punk rock.
Yeah, there's always been the appreciation of the Nardcore scene, but like not.
Yeah.
It hadn't really gotten props like in the form of like any kind of documentary or anything like that.
Yeah.
Did it end up culminating in not just the good response for the showing of the doc, but there was an ill repute day that came of that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Did all that come out?
Yeah, they got proclaimed by the city of Port Hueneme.
Yeah, 2014.
Yep.
And so, but we get cited in it, because we're one of the reasons that they get.
We went to it. We went to like when they did it at the city hall there for Port Hueneme. Yeah, it was sick.
Amazing, man. What a feeling, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, what if you like for them too? I mean, like like an old school punk rock band. Has a day named after
the city ordinance day of the band for the city
sick.
Because of a documentary.
Yeah.
And like the
come on, it wasn't because of the documentary.
Well, it was
of
a
everything
factor.
they've done. But
imagine being the band. The same band's been like chased out of venues, and, osterized by your community.
Punk rock band.
Now you got
guys out of here. Now
shut down. All
we're
kinds
gonna name
of
a day.
after.
Here's
a day after.
Yeah, now you got a day, dude. Wow.
Yeah, that was cool, man. But that was a good experience, dude. And I learned a lot.
Same.
And just working with you was awesome, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And we were able to accomplish a lot just DIY style.
Yeah,
how you do it.
Yeah, I love doing the work. And coming here full circle and like being on the show is cool. But like, honestly, like I'd still be doing it with you if I didn't have like 2 small kids and a family and stuff. And
totally.
So it's it's just nice enough to be able to have our project and still be able to play music.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that sticker I still have on my drum hardware case. It just says "fucking kids."
Yeah.
Where it all comes down. So let's talk about you guys though. I mean, so you guys both come back from different backgrounds in music. You're from like Northern California.
Yeah, I'm from Santa Cruz. Yeah. So I grew up in like in the punk rock scene, kind of like the late '80s, early '90s. Like I was really into like Blast and like Good Riddance right when they first started. Yeah. And we were really my group of friends and we would go to like house parties and they'd be like punk rock bands playing and we're like, holy shit, this is so fucking cool. Like, we were all like big my friends were like big into like Metallica and stuff when we first got started. And so we said like, okay, we want to be like Metallica. What do we got to do? We got to start a band. Okay, we're a band. Okay, now what instruments are we gonna play? Okay, I'll play guitar. I want to be like James Hetfield. I want to play drums. So then we went and learned our instruments, and then like started a band, which quickly became like a punk rock band. And so like we would open for those bands like Good Riddance and stuff, and like the big like Fat Records bands and Epitaph bands would come into town, and we'd kind of like open for them. But I was in a band called Stench, and some of those guys from Stench like like Garen Mile and stuff. And that band was kind of like in the late '80s and stuff, and we it was the scene back in Santa Cruz in those days was crazy, dude. We'd go to shows and like the entire floor would just be this pit, and we were like these little like 13, 14-year-old kids, just like barging through and just getting our asses kicked and like picking ourselves right back up and just running around and just going crazy. And it was like you know, like growing up in that, being able to have, you know, like you have like these feelings of like aggression and like frustrations and stuff, and just being able to go and just go fucking crazy in the pit is it like the best release and the best way to like, you know, get those aggressions out and just like really like express yourself. And then playing music took it to an entirely different level. But like I feel like that whole scene of like the Santa Cruz scene, like in the 90s, like really changed a lot of like who I was as a person fundamentally, you know, as far as like personal expression and things like that. I moved down to Santa Barbara to go to college, so basically like Stench was kind of like put on the back burner, but I started a band called Sick Shift, and that was a band that we played. I was living in Isla Vista at the time, so we played like all the Isla Vista parties, and then we played like, you know, all the shows, like the Eddie Numbskull shows and stuff that they'd put on in Santa Barbara. And it's pretty interesting that you know, we put out a record in 1999 called Angry Badgers, and like this was just like this little independent recording that we kind of did on our own. We had this guy Angus Cook produce it, and
That's a name.
Yeah, do you know
No,
have you heard of him?
Name.
He
Angus Cook.
Yeah, he used to do like stuff for like Lagwagon and a lot of like, you know, those bands and stuff. He was
nice.
And yeah, so he basically like worked with us on this record, and it, you know, we were really stoked on it at the time. You know, just like we had fucking no money, didn't really know what we were doing, but we were able to like kind of make this happen. And we kind of, you know, I'd get a lot of like random responses to that record like throughout the years. Like I went on to play in other bands and stuff, which is a whole other story, but I always get people hitting me up from like different countries like, oh, how can I get a copy of that first Sick Shift CD? I'm like, bro, I don't even have a copy of that. You know, you tell me. You know, I would like to get my hands on it. I think my dad has one, but that's about it. And so we ultimately got asked by these guys if we would be open to putting out a re-release, like a reissue of the Sick Shift Angry Badgers album on vinyl. And we're like, fuck yeah, dude, that sounds sick. And this was the People of Punk Rock guys, the guys who are our label right now that my new band is on. And so we put that record out, and it was fucking so cool. These guys like fucking they love punk rock. They love the scene. I always think about like, you know, the stuff that I loved growing up was like you know, like the Fat Records scene and like the Epitaph Records scene. And these days those labels are still around, but they're kind of different, you know, like I don't know what they're doing. Sometimes some bands are hit or miss for me. But this label, People of Punk Rock Records, they kind of like took that torch and fucking ran with it. Totally. It's like fast, like nice. Fast, aggressive, like punk rock, like heavy, melodic shit. Like it's skate punk, dude. It's like straight skate punk. And so that kind of like we ended up jamming together and putting Fine Gents together. And as soon as I told them that I was jamming, they're like, "Oh, dude, we want to put it out on our
That's
label."
awesome, dude.
So yeah,
they've been so good.
Yeah, they've been sick. Yeah, I mean, like enough about me. You like
what's up with Conor here?
Yeah, this dude grew up like on the East Coast,
right?
Yeah, so I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania. I went to high school in Scranton, and
Ooh.
You guys might have heard Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
home of The Office.
The Office.
Yeah,
and in the opening credits, you can see my high
you
school.
walking right by.
You see him playing drums.
Right, you see me playing drums. We've all gone to shows where we see like a way too young kid being thrown around the top of the crowd, right? That was you. So I'm the youngest of 7, so I was like my next oldest sibling was 5 years older than me, and so I'm a little bit separated from the rest. It was a surprise, right? And so my brother Matthew would be going to shows, and he'd be like 13, 14, I was like 8 or 9, and my mom would make him take me along with him. I think maybe my first show I was about like 9-ish or something like that, you know. And so started going to shows, and he was playing in bands, played guitar, and he and I remember they would be practicing in our basement of our house, and this guy Matt Gray was playing drums for his band called One Eyed Baby. And Matt Gray went on to play drums. He was like one of the best drummers in like our northeastern NEPA straight edge hardcore scene, you know. It's
Right,
like definitely straight edge hardcore, like all Victory Records, Rev Records,
Love
and
that shit.
Equal Vision, all that
Nice.
stuff. So, and so he was playing drums in my brother Matt's band, and he went on to play for Bigwig. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, yeah. He's a great drummer, and he's a drum instructor
Bigwig.
there. So he was like my one inspiration, because I'd sit at the top of my stair and he'd be playing on my drum set, but I was like really into piano at the time. And my dad had got me a drum set because he could see I had some rhythm, but he never got me hi-hats. And I was just like, fuck this, there's no hi-hats, I'm not playing them. And so I just kept playing piano. And so Matt Gray would be over playing, and I'd just be sitting there on the steps and watching him play, and he'd bring hi-hats, and be the one time there'd be hi-hats in the house. So they'd play for an hour, and I'd just watch him. I'm like visualizing sitting on the stairs. My house was it was made in like the 1840s. It was really old.
Wow.
It was like dusty and like oil burning furnace and shit, like crazy,
Wow.
dark, dingy. It was like
Gravity
root
furnace.
cellar and stuff like that. It was
Nice.
crazy. It was like a haunted shit. And I'd just sit there and watch him play. And then they'd get up and go outside to like probably go smoke a joint or something like that. I was a little kid, you know? And I just like run in on the kit and just try to play and absorb as much of what he did. And like sometimes he'd see me trying to do it and he'd come over and be like, "No, do that or do this," or something like that. And then so I started getting into it. My brother-in-law Bill would start showing me some rudiments and stuff like that, and I just started playing until my hands would bleed, you know, like every day after school for hours, you know. And I forgot the question.
No, that's great though.
You know, what's my
like,
story? So yeah, that kind of like started. But like I was the kid. I would go to shows with my brother Matt and like see everybody stage dive. And I'm like, fuck it. And I just get up and like they love it. I just go and jump off the stage and people just start throwing me around. I was so light. I was
You
like
were 9.
I was 9. I was like 48 pounds. You know.
Do you remember some of those early shows who were playing? Anybody stick out from back then?
Yes, there was a band. There were bands from Jersey and New York. There was a band called New School at the time, and they were kind of like kind of
Dreadlocks?
early.
They were
like,
old school.
rap hardcore.
Huh.
Yeah,
Rapcore.
and a band called Fallacy. Like lots of New York bands. So like Scranton was kind of like the stop that you would make before you would go and do a New York show if you were coming through on tour, or if you were leaving on tour, it might be like day 2 or day 3 of your tour.
I see.
And so there was a big place in music called CC's, and there would be lots of hardcore shows there. And there was a place in Wilkes-Barre called the Factory that would be, and there was a place right near there called the Staircase. And those were kind of like the 3 big places for shows.
The Factory sounds familiar. How long is that place?
That it hasn't been gone. It's been gone for a long time. But I remember, I actually never went to a show there. But I remember my brothers going there to see Shelter, to go see 9 Inch Nails, to see like Primus and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
like, but like our friends' bands, you know, like our hardcore scene. If there was no big band in town, we'd have a show no matter what, somewhere, at someone's house, or at a fire hall, or at the School for the Deaf, or different places like that. And
They loved you at the School for the Deaf.
They loved it. They loved it. They just liked the rhythm of it.
Like the vibrations.
Yeah, it was good vibrations. And so like the local shows with no headliner would probably be like 300 to 500 people.
Nice.
But like if a big band was coming through, or big band to us, right? It'd be like 1,000 people or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, so like Matt Gray played. And so going back to drumming, Matt Gray played in that, and then there was this other guy, Tommy Widener, who played for like a straight edge hardcore band called Option, and those are like my 2 inspirations on drumming, and like just seeing those guys and seeing them play, and then like slowly I just started making my way up around the side of the stage and just like asking the drummer, like, "Do you mind if I just chill and watch you play?" "Yeah, sure." I was like 10, or 11, and they just see this like stoked little kid, watching them, and then I started playing drums. Then I started realizing I could be in a band, and I stopped playing piano, and I just started being in bands and
You got a
stuff
hi-hat.
like that. Yeah, right. Yeah, I got hi-hats. It was a game changer.
That's all you needed. Nice.
Yeah, and like started playing in bands like early in high school. I had a band called Shallow. I remember on my 15th birthday, it was August 2nd, 1994 at CC's, and my band Shallow opened. It was Shallow, Earth Crisis, and Strife
Damn.
playing
Wow.
together. And it was Earth Crisis record release show for their Firestorm EP, which was like the big shit, right?
Yeah.
Like when that like all E, just E all day, but like the attitude was so fucking awesome. And I remember doing that. I remember them announcing it was like, this is our drummer's 15th birthday, and like all my band members were like in their 20s, and like I just happened to be like I got good early, you know, and so I'd play with older guys, and then like this, and I remember people saying like, you're only 15, like a bunch of shit like that. That was like the moment it hit me. I was like, oh, I'm doing something that like somebody older than me would be doing, you know, and like that was a cool moment.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, like I remember seeing Shelter come through and play in Scranton. Like every hardcore band would come and play Into Another, Snapcase, fucking Burn, Orange Nine.
Wow.
You know, like all my favorite bands. You know, all Agnostic Front. You know, a lot of Agnostic Front shows. Yeah, Madball, all that stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were deep into that hardcore scene then.
Oh yeah, all hardcore all the time. It was like Jansport backpacked with my skateboard and hardcore shows all day. Yeah.
So you guys were doing the same thing, but really far away from one another.
Really far away from
different
each other.
coasts.
Totally
Different scenes, but like you were both pursuing that dream, man, and playing your own versions of punk rock. So how did you make your way out to the West Coast?
I came out after college. I just came out to like work, you know, and then like work was slow, so I joined a shitty prog rock band in LA, and then I was like sitting there on the internet with nothing to do at work, and I was on the Recycler and saw it said, I remember the tagline saying, prominent East Coast hardcore band looks for drummer for West Coast lineup. And so I sent an email saying like, I'm interested, and I got back this like, this is a good story, this long email with it was pages of questions, and like I read through and I answered everything, and it was like, it started talking about like religious views, like are you tolerant of other people's views? It was like thoughtfully laid out, but then it started moving into Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna related stuff, and so like I did everything, but while I was doing that, I was like, this would be fucked if this was Shelter, you know, or like 108 or something like that, you know, or Prima or whatever, you know, like I fucking loved all the Krishna core shit, because when Shelter would come through, they were special shows. They were special. There was like, they're doing kirtan out in the parking lot and like burning incense. It was an experience of a hardcore show, you know, in comparison to your average hardcore show. It was like this really warm, inviting, dancing vibe. Like I'm visualizing parking lot in Wilkes-Barre and just like the dancing and stuff like that, you know? And so anyway, I put that in and sent it off. I didn't hear anything. So 2 weeks go by, and I just sent an email saying like, I'm sure you found a drummer, but just in case, I'm still very interested. I hope to hear from you, you know? And I'm sitting at work. I'm in downtown LA, in the Mellon Bank building, and like my Sprint phone goes off, and flipping, hey, Conor Logan, and it's like, this is Ray Capo from Shelter. And I was like, oh, hold on a second. And I hit mute, and I go in like the server room, and I just scream so loud. I go, whoa! What's up? And like we talk for a little bit, and he's like, so do you know Shelter at all? I'm like, yeah, I know Shelter, sure. I know Mantra really well. And he's like, can you have Civilized Man and Appreciation ready in 2 days and try out? I was like, yes. And so I took the next day off work, and I just blasted those two songs all day, and came in the next day, and I felt really bad because we had a rehearsal space with that shitty prog rock band at the time, and I just like took it for the night and did my tryout there, and it was attached to my friend's house, and I thought it was a soundproof room, but it was not a soundproof room. and I locked the door behind us, and he couldn't get in because we were playing so loud.
Right.
And he had little kids and shit like that, and as like a dad of little kids now, I'm just like, I was such a fuck, but I was just like so focused on like nailing this shit, right?
So really, you all learned those songs.
Oh, yeah, they know them. They know them really well. But I did those songs and had me come back. Anyway, I tried out against a bunch of drummers over a couple of weeks, and I remember being waking up the next morning after the last tryout, and getting a voicemail and says like, "This is Ray. It's 4 a.m. and would love for you to join Shelter. You seem like a great guy and would love to have you." And I was I just ran into my roommate's room and my best friend, and we went to shows together in the East Coast. We moved out from Pennsylvania together. I'm like, I'm in Shelter, and we went directly to IHOP. Got pancakes.
As you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was odd, and I was a huge Shelter fan. Going to Trenton to see Shelter shows in the middle of February, and it'd be just 10 below and packed, or going to Warped Tour and seeing them play and stuff like that.
What year was this?
So, for me playing in Shelter was 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So it was the waning years of the original run of Shelter, and kind of took a break for a while. Now they've been, I don't know if you've seen them recently, but it's kind of closer to the original lineup and really good. And they got Sammy on drums, and fucking monster. He's so good. But yeah, it's
ironic. You had to come all the way to the West Coast to hook up with Shelter from the East Coast.
Right?
Totally. That's
wild,
a good point, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So then, how long did that run last for you?
Oh, it was a year and a half, but did a bunch of shows, and immediately, boom, I'm touring Europe, I'm touring US,
you did the record too,
and we did a record, and actually had him and his old band National Prod come up and sing backing vocals on the record.
Oh, how cool!
Very cool. Which was sick.
Yeah, we had been friends back then.
Yeah, and that kind of typical drummer thing, where I'm going out and playing a bunch of shows, people dug it, get people's phone numbers, and then I get back from home, they're like, "Oh, you're not on the road right now, can you come and play and do something for us?" And yeah, and I just started getting kind of passed around, and that turned into just being on the road all the time.
Right.
Then starting my own bands and going and doing that. So just kind of it kicked me off. I came out here to do work, wasn't really thinking too seriously about music, and all of a sudden jump in and
So was that your full-time gig? Was just playing music, right?
Playing music for, I would say, for a good 7-8 years. It was the primary focus.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
I feel if you have that love for the music, it never really leaves you. You just have that drive where you have to either write stuff or record it or play with people.
Fuck yeah.
It always comes back. It's just the urge to do it is just too strong.
Yeah, because you were out there doing the same thing. You had National Product.
Yeah, right? National Product. We were doing that, and he'd actually filled in on drums for some National Product shows. Yeah. Our drummer had a brain tumor.
Oh wow!
And had to get that removed, and that was a very scary time.
He's okay.
He's alive. He's still
doing
great.
Brain tumor. So.
Yeah, so he would fill in on drums for that band, and then we had an 80s old school punk rock cover bands.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
In around really 2010.
That's a lot of fun.
Called Holiday in Suburbia, and we just play all the classics, dude. It was punk rock karaoke, but without karaoke.
Yeah.
2010.
It was great.
Yeah, it was 2010. He was just reminding me of the day.
That was super
that's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, so the Fine Gents stuff basically originally started as being a Stench project, my old band from Santa Cruz. Mm-hmm. We got back together and we played some shows, and we recorded a song for a compilation. We played out out in Punk Rock Bowling out in Vegas, and we're kind of this is those guys are my true friends that I've known and loved for a long time. So they give me the call hey, let's play again. Fuck yeah, let's do it. So we had got built up some momentum, and then COVID happened, and then nobody was doing shit, and I just kind of had the idea. A lot of people were doing this at the time. We're so bored. Let's record something. Let's make an album. Let's make an EP. Let's do something and take advantage of the time. We can just record tracks, pass them back and forth. The way that technology is right now, mm-hmm. you can record an album you can make any situation happen basically. And so this was originally going to be a Stench song. I'd wrote some demos for these to be Stench songs, and those guys, I love them, and they had other things going on in their lives at the time where they started lagging, and so I said, I still want to get this done, so we brought Conor in to play drums, and then once that happened, he's like, oh yeah, you want your drum tracks? I'll track him in like a week, and then
nice,
and then it was like done, the bass player Chris from Gents was also, one of my oldest friends playing music. When I said that we wanted to be Metallica, so we started a band, then learned our instruments. He's the one who decided he wanted to learn bass and learned bass. So like I've been playing with him since I was like just turned 14 years old, basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so he was in Stench, and he came back into Stench to do this record, and then it became something else. And then so it was the three of us, and then we ended up looking for another guitar player because we wanted to fill out the sound and make it be a 4-piece. And that's when we talked about his friend Matt, who actually played with him in Shelter. Oh. So Matt, our guitar player, was also in Shelter at the same time.
He was already in it. He was already in Shelter when I joined, and he was playing bass at the time. And when I got in, and then met everybody, and he was an okay bass player. He's like, I'm actually kind of, my main thing is guitar, and I talked to him and I said, hey, like, he should play lead guitar. You got to meet my friend Tyler, and so I brought my friend Tyler over to meet, and they fucking loved him because Tyler's like the most charismatic fucking dude on the planet. Everyone loves him. And so not only did I get into one of my favorite bands to play drums, but then I got my best friend, that was my roommate and stuff like that, to be in a band with me and then tour together. But
that's cool.
But Matt came around because of mixing. Because
right.
I engineered and mixed and was mixing our record, but I just it was good but not great. And I was just like, it's missing a little oomph that I can't figure out. And I said, let me try. I called up Matt because he's a really good mix engineer. And I said, dude, take a song, just do a mix on it. Because every time I throw him something, he's just like, cool. He's always just down to do something. He's just yes, And he's very skilled. And so he did the song and immediately it was just it was banging. And I was just like, this is it.
Yeah.
Do the rest of the record. He sent me the rest of the shit. And then he did the rest of the record. I'm like, you like this? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, you should play guitar in this. He's like, yes.
That's awesome.
That was easy.
And that was it. So so you got two old school bros and two other old school
exactly.
bros.
It was like the West Coast, East Coast connection, like Tupac and Biggie sort of.
How did you guys settle on the name?
Well, we had a long list of names. We kind of thought about, these days we're like, these old guys still playing punk rock. We're like these distinguished gentlemen, except for not very distinguished. And that's kind of where Fine Gents came from.
I like it.
Yeah.
Didn't it? I think it came from my wife. She said something around, ladies and gentlemen, or something about
you guys are just some fucking fine gents.
Yeah, and then we just said, you said, what if we just call it Fine Gents? She said something fine, extraordinary gentlemen. It was not the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It was not that. But
was it distinguished?
There's something like that. It was something about being,
that would make sense. That would track.
Sure. Knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Having wisdom. Right?
Yeah.
And block.
Wizened beyond our years.
Wizened beyond our years. That's right. And then you said what about just Fine Gents? We're like banging because 2 syllables is always banging.
Yeah.
It's good.
Wow.
That's rad. And you guys have recorded
so our
singles,
EP,
right?
I believe by the time that this episode is going to be going live, our EP will be out. So we have an 8-song EP coming out, we have an 8-song EP out on People of Punk Rock Records, and it's just it's everything that we love, just kind of fast, melodic, that skate punk. We love bands like Suicidal Tendencies and just the really fast stuff that kind of teeters on the edge of metal, but still has that little bit of a melodic aspect to it. And so it's just 8 tracks of just melodic skate punk.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys.
I was amazed. Yeah,
you captured an era, in the skate punk era. It has it doesn't sound dated, but it sounds like, you know what I mean? Like in the pocket of skate punk.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's always been big with us. You know, I've always been into the type of music that's just like, you know, fast and technical that would just like amp me up. You know, where I just hear it and I'm just like, fuck yeah. You know.
You guys are really tight though. I remember you were sending me demos, like songs. Like, hey, we're working on this throughout the process. I'm like, fuck that. You guys are ripping it. You know, like early on. You know. Yeah. I was stoked to listen to those. Yeah, so now I share it with these guys too, and they're like, "Fuck, here, check out Jeff's new band," you know, and you're like, don't tell anybody about this yet, you know, because you guys are still mixing.
Yeah, it was still like.
But it was cool that you would send that to me, you know.
I mean, you've sent me tracks of stuff you've worked on.
Yeah, it was cool, dude, and
that's how we do.
Yeah, I was stoked that you guys were doing something, and then the final product. It's really full, you know what I mean? It's Thanks, like I could see you guys playing big stages. I mean, like fucking big shows. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are planning on that, but
SoFi Stadium maybe.
Yeah, not that big, but you know, maybe the Tiki Bar now.
Right. Love the Tiki Bar. Yeah.
It's funny. Sometimes you'll hear some early stuff from people, and it's really rough. But you hear something in it, but you're like, all right. It's the germination of something special,
yeah, totally.
But it's going to be a minute, right? And you just wait for it to kind of bake a little more.
Yeah, for sure.
And then sometimes you hear stuff and you're like, dude, a little more polishing. This is good. And you guys had a level of professionalism in your demos that Stan shared with us.
Well, I think
that was pretty impressive.
I think both of us, you know, primarily the two of us, we've both been doing this a long time, and like, you know, luckily it's so easy now to just have a fucking like a setup at your house, you know, to where you can just like track your demos, and if you've been playing long enough, you know how to program drums. You can just like do bass and drums and sing vocals over it and stuff. So that's how these songs originally started off, as just like kind of like demos like that. But you know, we know how to do the demos ourselves. Like if I write a song, like I have this idea for a song, I'll program drums, track guitars, track bass, track vocals, track background vocals. Yeah. I'll do everything. And so instead of saying like, hey guys, I have an idea for a song. It kind of goes like this, you know. You can be like, oh, here I have an idea for a song. Here, this is it.
Here's a fully fucking big thing.
Fully fleshed out song idea.
And that's just, you know, that's not. Luckily, you can do that nowadays, where you couldn't do that in the past. You know, like nowadays you have like Logic setups or Pro Tools at your house, so it's so easy to just go, you know, track it in your fucking bedroom. You know, like
make it sound like the full blown.
So that's kind of how our songs kind of started off as like, you know, almost like fully baked demos, but it's just kind of like we bring it in, and then, you know, the band kind of like everybody adds their own special touch to it and kind of like makes it their own, and a lot of ideas will come up that'll take the song from one direction to like an entirely different direction, and you know, if it works, then we just go with it, and then, you know, we track everything final. You know, like, but you know, it's interesting with the way this album came out is we had the whole EP done, and then we all got in a room and jammed. We had never fucking practiced, dude.
Yeah.
And so, but because we lived with these songs for so long, you know, we had a sick weekend up at his house, and he has like a rad, like, you know, he's got a studio up in his garage, which is sick, that he had like built out and everything. So we just got up and we started jamming the songs, and you know, we know them so well by now that it was just like,
it was pretty bang
right away.
Wow, so you guys gelled right away.
That's
pretty cool.
Gentlemen of a certain age. That's
what it is.
That was what my wife said. She's like, gentlemen of a certain age.
Too many syllables. It needs to be two syllables.
It's a very polite way of
fine gents. I'm like, there you go.
It's a very polite way of stating someone's age.
That's right. Gentlemen of a certain age.
You know what I like too about what you do is, because with your video editing background, you'll like do full blown music videos before you guys are even like.
So if you end up like going, we have 2 music videos out for our 2 singles that came out before the album. We have one for Ricochet and one for Mad Circus.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You know, I was just talking about how we got into the studio together, and we practiced for the first time. So that we were up there for a weekend. The first day we just jammed all day long. The second day we shot both of our music videos, like in one singular location. But I know how to do like motion graphics and stuff like that. So I kind of had a vision exactly how these videos were going to look. Something that we could do in his studio, and then, you know, take it to like an entirely different level. And so yeah, we shot those videos like all in the same.
You're
weekend.
pretty blown away by that.
Did all of
Blown
our
away. Mad Circus, dude, ridiculous. They're both awesome, but Mad Circus especially is like styled.
Yeah, it was really good.
That's cool to be in a band where you also have a music video, right?
Right.
Before you even play the show,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I always thought that was
Yeah,
cool.
we had 2 music videos and like a full EP, like an 8-song EP, and like we'd fucking been jamming
Then you
together
break up. No.
for like 1 weekend basically.
We don't want
But
all
we-
that success.
Yeah, so our album is like, is just coming out right now, or the EP is just coming out right now, but we've already have like, most of our next album is like already demoed out basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just, stuff when you have like a creative unit where everybody works together like really well and everybody like adds their own kind of thing and personalities work out, it's just like it's easy, dude. It's just easy to keep cranking out material.
totally.
It's easy to keep cranking out songs.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's fun, everybody's on the same page, people throw ideas around. It's like, hell yeah, let's turn this into a song.
That's cool.
It's just it
That's
makes
hard to
everything
find,
so
too.
easy, dude.
Yeah.
It is, and I think that really is a kind of like a testament to like Chris and I being friends since we were like really little kids, like
Yeah.
our bass player, and then
Chris is
The bass player.
Stubenoff. Right?
Stubendorf. Chris Stubendorf.
Yeah, from
the
back
bass
in the documentary days.
Yeah,
I think he did our website or something. Or,
He did, yes, yeah, he
That
did.
guy's rad.
Oh my god, this is really coming full circle. He did the first Punk Rock Chronicles website.
No way.
Yeah,
Where,
he was our
that's
bass
cool.
player.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he and I, we go back early days, like
Yeah.
Stench, and even before that, we had a band called Blind Rage, and it ended up being called I mean, we were teenagers, whatever.
That's rad.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, so us just, we have a connection. He kind of wasn't playing music for a long time, and when we started doing Stench again, I reached out to him like, oh, bro, dude, like we need a bass player, like, and I would love for you to play if you want to do it. And he's like, dude, I've been like waiting to have an opportunity to get back into just like, playing and everything. So he dove back in head first and has been playing all the time now, and we just have like a great rapport. But having that connection with him and then the connection that he has with Matt,
Yeah.
them having that history together, and then just like these 2 units coming together, like
Just
he and
synced
I-
right up.
just synced right up. Yeah.
Wow.
It just makes it so
It's
easy.
like he has the relationship with Chris a long time. I had the relationship with Matt a long time, and then he and I had a relationship a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it just was the perfect
It's
fit
like
all the
it's
way around.
really
It's
good.
like it's
It's
just like a
crazy
love
good.
quadrangle.
Yeah. So, just out of curiosity, from inception to delivery, how long did it take you guys to get this EP off the ground?
Well, the inception started back in 2020, so
Okay. And then-
quite
yeah.
a long time.
But you had that pause.
Yeah, but like it was one of those things where it was like, hey, we're gonna do a Stench EP. I'm gonna write some
Yeah.
demos. It was like a week later. I'm like, okay, here's like 6 demos.
Right.
Wow. But
And we were doing Zoom calls with your friend that had the zine and
yeah, with Garen. Yeah.
with Garen. And,
Yeah,
and
our
it
singer
was a
for
totally
Stench.
different.
So if
it
you had
started
not-
under a completely different thing.
And that's kind of what I was talking about. How like everybody has busy lives and stuff, and with those guys, it was hard for them to reconcile like making the time to track drums and.
Well, you're dealing with a worldwide pandemic in the middle of all that shit.
Yeah, right.
Kind of
Exactly.
unprecedented.
Yeah.
But, I mean, despite all of that, it's amazing how productive you guys have been. It was really my point. It's
Yeah.
a lot of bands, they drag for whatever reason. Things
Well,
aren't
it's
syncing up,
busy-
ideas aren't fleshing out.
Yeah,
Whatever.
as busy as we are, because I have a full life. I do a lot. This guy is the same way, and our other guys are, they're the same. Just being able to put out the music and do the videos and stuff, it's like, something has to click to make that even possible with how busy we are.
Right.
So you have to have that dynamic between everybody in the band.
Well, you guys found it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very.
Seems like a lot of talent and no ego.
Yeah.
Which actually makes it happen.
As you're laughing. Yeah, that's right.
Says he's
I'm
this guy
hiding
here.
it.
Yeah. So, what about touring? Have you guys have any plans to tour now?
No plans to tour right now. We probably are going to do some weekend warrior type situations, coming up here pretty soon. But right now, like going out on a full tour. I mean, like, dude, I've been there. Like, I used to tour like 6 to 8 months out of the year.
Right.
And having having zero responsibilities.
Yeah. Well,
makes that possible. Right now, we have
A little vacation time. Yeah.
the busy lives things. I get
the
that.
busy lives makes it really hard to just like go on a full like tour, you know.
But you guys are in different parts of the state, right? So
Yeah.
So even playing a show is not really that easy.
Yeah, I mean it's well our bass player lives in Santa Cruz. The rest of us are all down in like the LA area. Yeah.
But we made a pact with each other around. Remember, like the amount of time necessary to give notice to be able to do something.
Right,
like
right.
we have
a
set
system.
up.
Yeah.
And we're all very organized. I learned from Stan how to be organized.
That's the one thing, because we're gentlemen of a certain age, right? So
Well,
we have
we're fine gents.
we're fine
Two syllables
gents.
sounds
We
better.
have a sophisticated system of readiness
that's
that prepares us for all oncomers.
Yeah.
So throw it at us.
Is there going to be like a record release show or?
Yes, there is. I do not have all the details on it yet, though.
It's going to be big.
But
No, you guys, you
it's
have
gonna be
ideas.
rad.
Yeah.
We've got a lot. Basically, like ever since the EP's been done, we've been doing the same thing we did with the EP, but putting together a live set. We've got a lot of ideas.
Yes.
That, like we have like a full live set, like all like mapped out start to finish with like all kinds of little like bells and whistles like throughout the set.
I'm excited. I'm excited
We're
to see that.
excited. I mean, like, dude, like. I just love playing these songs. It gets me amped, dude. Like, it's the type of music that, like, I've always, kind of loved playing. Just kind of like that fast, like, aggressive shit. So, what, just
We did
jamming these
exactly
songs.
what
Like,
we wanted.
yeah.
I felt like it was good when I heard the EP. I felt like it was a good. Like I said, it didn't sound dated, but it was a throwback feeling.
Yeah.
And it was exactly, you hit the spot. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because a lot of things have gotten musically a little bit, and I get this with punk bands because you don't want to make the same, unless you're Motorhead, you don't want to make the same album 40 times, right? Everybody wants to branch out and try a few things.
Yeah.
But I love being in a pocket of skate punk. A band that knows knows their wheelhouse and has a love for that, and it shows in the music, and it's not a phoning it in feeling.
Yeah,
it's a real vibe in there.
Yeah, that's that's exactly it. That really nails it. Is like we just do the music that we respond to and that we love. It's like, and that's the kind of music that's always like pump me up and that's
it shows through in the recording. So you did a really good job.
Awesome.
Thanks, you appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Right on. Well, thanks for coming out, dude. I mean, I think this is it was really cool catching up with you guys and meeting Conor for the first time. It's
pleasure, guys.
Shelter, a huge fan of Shelter, so that
me too.
Youth of Today, all that, and all those. I was into those hardcore bands too. You know what I mean? So.
Just like he was saying, there's a moment there when you catch on to it that changes, and everyone in this room I know has that feeling. There's that moment that catches you when you're young at a show, and something switches, and you're never the same again.
Yeah.
There's something special about this particular arena of music that is just like goes to the bones. Right?
That's why punk rock just continues to endure. You know what I mean? Like other styles come and they go as far as like popularity, but like. Punk rock it's not the most popular music in the world, but like it just fucking keeps going.
It's solid all the way.
There are people that have so much love for it, that just like it propels it.
And it's diverse enough in itself with all the subgenres that I've never been bored. And I'm 50. I'll be 51 pretty soon.
You're 50?
Yeah, man. I know. But point is,
You're a fine gent.
I am a fine gent. Well,
you are a
I don't know about gent, but
he's a dirty gent.
But that's what I love. Is like the melodic skate punk is such a huge influence from Southern California guy like me, right?
Yeah, for
But then I remember going to see Instead. And just going, holy shit! It was a whole other facet of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that early hardcore kind of music that I was exposed to, it just reignites. You know what I mean? Just when you're getting a little bit, there's 6 or 7 bands I love, but they kind of sound Bad Religion, Pennywise. I love those bands, and then boom, you come across some other band
from a
subgenre, and it just reignites your passion for that music. And punk rock does that for all of us, I think. So
that's a great point, man. That's a great point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, like, if you guys want to check out the album, we're called Fine Gents. You can find us on any of the social medias. We're on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So check it out.
Yeah, good shit, dude. And like I said, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right on, dude.
We appreciate it.
Yeah,
the first album is called Present. or presents.
Presents.
You choose whatever which way you would like
Yeah,
to say
there's
it.
many
Tomato,
different
tomato,
meanings
right?
of it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're proud to present present.
I love it. I love it. That's sick. All
Right on. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Cool. That was awesome, man.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Super dope. That was
Oh,
great.
dude.
That was good.